I say, I had to write it down, so sorry, folks, but so way it goes. But first of all, welcome family and friends. We're so very happy all of you could be here to celebrate Talia and RJ's wedding. We warmly welcome Robert and Dawn Nelson, RJ's parents. Also want to acknowledge RJ's grandparents, Rich and Janet Hawkinson, and I think Wayne Nelson couldn't make it. That was RJ's grandfather. But welcome. We really are happy that we are part of your family too. And Talia and RJ, you've just made a major change in your lives. And I want to talk about that a little. I mean, everyone talks about how change is difficult, right? And no one likes change. But is that really the case? Do we drive the same cars or wear the same clothes or have the same hairstyle? Well, some of us do, as we did 10 years ago. But probably not for most of us. We change now. What people really are afraid of is the transition to change. The knowing things are going to change, but not knowing what it takes between now and the change we're making. And being a process guy that I am, I decided to look into the process of transition, to change, and found everything that changes has 3 steps to transition of change. Ironically, the first step is the ending. And the second step is what's called the neutral zone, and the third step is the new beginning. So in the ending, there are 7 findings or losses during this time. You know, it's a loss of turf. When I was married, I had a really great 68 Mustang. And now I have a house. We had loss of attachments. My softball buddies for Crane's family. Loss of meaning. I was going through life by the seat of my pants. And now it's family and commitment. Definitely loss of control. Living on the edge to making plans, right? Loss of future. You know, I was living for today. Now we're planning for our retirement. Loss of identity. Crane Lane, Crane Nordigian. And loss of structure. Go out with the guys and didn't know where, didn't care, let's go, let's have a great time, let's go. You know, like Dominic does now. To, yes, I took out the garbage can. So everyone experienced losses during the transition. And we should always have a ceremony for those losses we experience, because ceremonies are a celebration about ending the past. We need to experience a ceremony so we can move on to the next stage. That's why we're here today. Talia and RJ's wedding ceremony. Does anyone know what a wedding ceremony really accomplishes? Anybody? A wedding ceremony is actually a funeral to your single life. So Talia and RJ are celebrating the ending of their single life so they can move on to their married life. And knowing Talia, RJ is probably going to lose some more of his stuff too. I mean, after all, Talia is losing her identity from Nordigian to Nelson. Of course, Talia won't need to change any of her monograms or initials. But why do we invite guests to these ceremonies? Why plan for a ceremony? Why not just alone? Because at a ceremony, there are witnesses, a community. It's a public indication that you've committed to something. If we skip over the wedding ceremony, we keep one foot in the past. And being a baseball rat that I am, there's an old saying, you can't steal second while one foot remains on first. So you know, when we lose something, we have 4 responses we can choose to respond to the loss. We can restore it, go back to what it was. We can replace it, go back and do it differently. We can redesign it, move forward together. Or we can relinquish it, get rid of it, and give up. Today, Talia and RJ are redesigning their future. A future together that I know Karina and I, and Robert and Dawn, are hopeful for a long marriage and children. Oh, and I gotta ask, did any of your parents require that you don't name any of your kids half or full? half Nelson or full Nelson. We would be okay with Major Nelson because, we were big I Dream of Jeannie fans. But I know when that blessed event happens, when Talia and RJ are expecting their first child, there will be a lot of very excited people. After Talia and RJ, of course. First, of course, will be the women, right? The ones who bear the children, the grandmothers, Corinne and Dawn, great-grandmothers, Janet, really Aunt Gina, I think for sure, and for obvious reasons. Second will be Robert and I, right? The grandfathers, the great-grandfathers, Rich and Wayne. Because then we can mess up the kids by spoiling the grandchildren, something like that. Third will be the four uncles. Yeah, don't forget about the four uncles. Here's why. When uncles are so bad, they're good. So Talia and RJ, your kids will have four uncles. I know one of them is a loud, hairy, Armenian, Italian American. The others, I believe, are a tad more normal, but not much. These uncles will adore your kids. But sometimes they may not be best influences. They'll swear, F-bombs and all. The uncles tend to forget their children around. Their alpha male attitudes, telling your kids that they shouldn't cry or has to be tough, will not be your favorite lessons. They're spoiling. Christmas and birthdays are a toy overload. Whoever made up the saying, money doesn't buy happiness, must not have had four uncles who will more than likely buy enormous Lego sets and Disney princess dolls. The constant junk food. This one might take you a while to accept, Talia, but if the uncles are around, then Cheetos, Oreos, and ice cream are just part of the gig. They're incessant roughhousing. If or when you have a son, he'll know what a wedgie is by 2. At 5, he'll be able to form them back to his rambunctious uncles. He'll only know 1 decibel. Loud. This is not pleasant at that time. Your brothers and brother-in-laws will drive you crazy, but the love they will show your kids will be undeniable. When they come over for any of the holidays, birthday parties, or other get-togethers, all they'll want to do is to get down on the floor, despite their bare breath hangovers, and play with the kids. You'll see the new life your kids bring to them. Your brothers and brothers-in-law's eyes will become like child's, beaming wide in joy and wonder. When your kids are newborns, the uncles will want to meet the little bundles. And watching a bachelor try to cradle a newborn baby is like watching a preteen at a dance. It's awkward and hilarious, guys. They will eventually laugh and babble their uncles' names. That's when the love like no other comes to fruition. As the kids develop, so will their uncle's devotion to them. They'll also do cool stuff with the kids, stuff that you would never do. They'll teach them tricks to play in games. They'll whip them around the house on a blanket and take them trick-or-treating in a blizzard, especially in Wisconsin. They'll play airplane, and airplane crash landing onto the bed. You'll be surprised if you have no ER visits. Don't worry, Grandma's a nurse. They'll play endless soccer games, take them to fairs and monster truck rallies, and teach them about the humility of losing. Yep, they won't always let them win just because they're kids. To read them stories and tuck them in. When the uncles aren't around, the kids will prefer them. It won't be mommy, but Uncle Nico, Uncle John, Uncle Willie, or Uncle Tucker instead. You'll actually get a break. I know when Dominic leaves to go back home, wherever his home will be in the future, he won't be seeing the kids for a while. It'll be hard to see him go. That big, tough, rough, and tough male will get tears in his eyes every single time he's about to leave. Not because he has to leave to go back home, because he'll hate missing your kids. You'll be able to tell that he and the other uncles don't want to miss them growing up, and he won't. Because when they're around, it'll be nothing shy of magic for your kids. They'll love their insanity, and each time they come, we'll add another building block onto the big tower of memories. Yes, you'll have to retrain them, so that they can't eat ice cream every single day. But despite their bad influences and the fact that they inch you closer to that insane asylum, it'll be more than worth it. And that actually, I stole that from Angela and Angel Stuffy. And put our own slant on it. Get back to the main part of my speech. Not much more to go, guys. Going to the neutral zone, people need extra care and concern for what they have transitioned to. There'll be times when Talia will bring up an issue. And I'd say you, being a man, will not exactly handle it well. Why? Because men want to, solve problems. But women don't want men to solve their problems. They want them to, women, listen to them, or just give them a hug. So RJ, know the 2 C's and know them well. Did I give you the 2 C's? Yeah. They're around here somewhere, I'll tell you later. So, after the 2 C's come the 4 P's. Purpose. Remind each other the purpose. Why did we get married? Picture. What would be great about our marriage when we get through this transition? Plan. How are we going to make it work? And part. What can I do to make this work out? The 4 P's will take your marriage where you want it to go. And the third and final is the new beginnings. One day you'll wake up and realize how great it is. You won't remember what it was like before when you were single. Still trying to scratch my head on that one too. I've run across younger couples that are either engaged to be married or were recently married. And when they ask how long Corinne and I have been married, it is going on 35 years, they ask the same question. What's the secret to being married for so long? Well, until recently, I haven't given too much thought about it. I've heard many of the same responses that I'm sure many of you have heard. Don't go to bed mad at each other. Well, I find if we did that, we would still be mad at each other, but a lot more tired. Here's another. Pick your battles. Pick your battles. Who wants to battle their wife or their husband? We want to battle the problem, not each other. This is something you say for the kids. Your son gets ready for school and has one red sock and one blue sock on. It's winter and he's going to be wearing boots. Who cares? But if he's going out without his pants on, pick your battles. I think for you, and this is another Angela Redkey essay that really hit home for the question, what's the secret of a long marriage? That's for me too. That is to look at marriage from your, sorry folks, end of life viewpoint. So if you indulge me on another sidebar from my original speech, this is my personal twist on her essay End of Life. So at the end of my life, it's you I want beside me. When marriage gets hard, I picture myself old, gray-haired, shriveled little body, with feet difficult to put one in front of the other. I want you there with me. Holding my hand, spinning my old wedding ring.
Holding my hand and spinning my old wedding ring and around my finger, rocking on the front porch. I want you there with me.
Laughing about times when our kids were young. Like the time Talia was trying to write, Nico, you are a jerk. Now, jerk wasn't allowed to be said in the house or stupid. And she wrote bird instead. So now Nico's a bird. And when she was trying to write Baba, which is Italian for dad, she wrote Bodad. I'm Bodad. I want you there with me. We'll look back as we sit on that front porch, talk about the tough times.
Okay, we'll look back as we sit on the front porch, talk about the tough times, the loss of our company, our mom's cancer fights, when you kids were babies, our parents' passings, when we both felt resentment for different reasons, when marriage felt too heavy. We will be joyous in our triumph because our love was the greatest accomplishment of our lives. I want you there with me.
When my body begins to wear down from sickness or old age, I want you there with me.
I want you there with me. Oh, okay. All right. When I'm scared, resting in a bed, wondering if I'll really make it to heaven, I want you there with me, looking me right in the eye, reassuring me that it's okay with me.
When my chest rises and falls one last time, and my eyes finally close forever, it's you I'm up there with me. Your marriage is new. It's fresh and exciting. But when things get difficult, and they will get difficult, I pray that both of you will think about the end of your story and to remember this moment, this day that you are stating, I want you there with me until the end. So if everyone wants to grab a glass, I'd like to propose a toast. Here's a toast to Talia and RJ. May God bless your marriage and both of you with his grace and mercy for all the things you'll need to make your marriage successful. May God bless you with healthy and happy children whom you love unconditionally as you are loved. And may God's love grow in both you as you continue to become one in marriage. I ask this in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And to the two of you, Talia and RJ, peace.
It's all right. I still have
All right. Well, you guys are never allowed to die, so. I don't know if there's anybody else